13 GOP governors won T-sign letter supporting the Republican tax scam. Donald Trump might be able to count on blind loyalty in Congress when it comes to his agenda, including the horribly unpopular GOP tax scheme currently being rammed through Congress. But outside of the Beltway, key Republicans are keeping their distance. That includes 13 Republican governors who refused to assign a letter, spearheaded by Governor Scott Walker, R. Wisconsin, touting the GOP tax scheme. On Twitter, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, R. Wisconsin, boasted that more than 20 Republican governors signed on to the push. But that means an awful lot of governors refused, an embarrassing development for the GOP, considering that the tax scheme is being touted as a keystone to Trump's thin legislative agenda this year. Among the GOP governors who did not sign the tax letter were Chris Christie of New Jersey, John Kasich of Ohio, Rick Scott of Florida, Rick Snyder of Michigan, and Brian Sandoval of Nevada. Meanwhile, Phil Scott of Vermont recently announced his opposition to the bill, saying that residents of his state will be on the losing end of the GOP's tax scam. In fact, most Americans will be on the losing end. Despite what Republicans may claim, the tax bill is nothing more than a giveaway for the rich, funded by working-class Americans. According to the Tax Policy Center, 87 million families making less than $200,000 annually would experience a tax hike by 2027 under the plan that Republicans just rammed through the Senate in the middle of the night. Furthermore, according to an analysis by the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, nearly 70% of the tax cuts would go to businesses over 10 years, the Associated Press reported. The rest of the tax cuts appear to favor the wealthy. Perhaps another reason so many Republican governors won't T-sign Walker's letter is that the GOP scheme could decimate America's safety net, which would impact state lawmakers and governors much more directly than members of Congress.